can't hear that?
It's
the loudest thing on the planet.
No, it's only like the first part of it. Nothing.
Nothing?
Hey, Sean.
Yeah.
Did you know that Chuck Norris doesn't read books? He stares them down until he gets the information out of them that he needs.
He does.
Yeah.
Did you know he doesn't have a chin either?
Oh, no, he doesn't have a chin?
Under his beard's just another fist.
But one time I was playing Connect 4 with Chuck Norris, and he won in 3 moves.
Insane.
Yeah.
You know, Chuck Norris grabs one lucky baby a year and just throws it into the sun. The Walker, Texas Ranger must be the most ADHD show I have ever seen.
It is.
Because it jumps from plotline to plotline before I can even keep up.
There's like 4 plot lines in every episode. They just introduce more things into the narrative, and they just don't. Sometimes they touch on them, sometimes they don't touch on them.
They give it a beat, right?
Yeah.
If Walker's interested in it, then it stays. But if he doesn't care, like this, we'll get to it. We're going in completely blind for Walker, Texas Ranger, and we've watched the pilot, which is 2-part episode, so it's like an hour long. And I think we just got to dive in.
And to preface, my father loves this show. Did he have a black beard and wearing a Stetson hat?
As a matter of fact, he did. Can you tell me about his accounts? She's like, well, normally I would have to ask my manager, but he does not have an account here. He just needs to use the bathroom. And then she's like, I have one question for you, sir. And he's like, yes. She's like, are you married?
Have you been talking to my Uncle Ray?
Uncle Ray. Okay, we got to start from the beginning, right?
Yes. First episode.
One riot, one ranger, part 1. You see him flying down the middle of a dirt road. Like, not... If anyone was, like, around the corner, accident. He shows up in a bar, and it just says beer.
Beer.
He gets one. He's like, you guys are in trouble. And then everyone who's not guilty leaves.
Yeah.
Leaves the bar.
One guy's like, hey, dude, you're on the other side of the border. You have no jurisdiction here. Which, he's right.
100% right. Can't go to Mexico and grab some...
You can't. And all he says, without turning around with his beer in his hand at the bar, he's like, watch me.
I think I counted like 5 spinning back fists.
Boom. Boom.
Then they're all passed out, and he puts them in his truck flatbed. Mm-hmm. No cover. Just piles these dudes. How many? Like 5?
5.
5 dudes he piles in his flatbed and drives back across the U.S. border. And the border guard's like, anything to declare, Walker? More than usual. So, like, normally he's got, like, 3 dudes back there. Today he's got 5.
He's got 5.
He gets back to Texas, right? Apparently he dropped them off at jail. We didn't see that part. The only voice of reason, I think she's the DA, Alex Walker's, I believe, going to be love interest eventually. It, like, starts with his feet up on her desk. Super disrespectful. She's, like, on the phone with the governor?
Yes, of course.
And she's like, yeah, I know it's illegal. He's like, let me talk to him. Let me mansplain this for you. And Walker takes the phone and goes, yeah. Yep. That's
great.
It.
He gets away with a lot of things in this show. He gets away with so much just because he is Walker, Texas Ranger.
Or 10 minutes in.
Yeah.
He's already broken several international laws. I don't know how many in Texas. We're introduced to his local bar where he just goes behind the counter.
This is when we're introduced to, that poor kid.
It's like, I bought this for my fiance.
Yeah.
And he shows him like a shitty bracelet.
Yeah.
And he's like, I paid, a lot of money for this. And then Walker, like, not even acknowledging the kid's existence, is like, did you buy it from so-and-so at the trading shack? Or whatever it is. Yeah. He's like, yeah. And then CD's like, oh, big deal. And he's like, he might have screwed you.
Yeah.
And then they laugh at him. And he was like so genuinely happy that he got this first fiance.
This poor guy.
Just watching this guy's performance, he's marked for death. Happy and carefree. And he gets called to the first bank robbery. So, hold on. This is weird. So, the 3 guys robbing the bank, right? Or there's 5 again.
Yes.
And they have Uzis, but do they shoot paint?
That is a great question.
He sprays the security camera and it's red.
It's red.
Unless we're to believe, which I don't think so yet, that these cameras are sentient beings that can bleed and are mortal.
Right, or it's a POV shot of a guy in the corner of
with a camera in his hand.
and has the vision of a camera.
Right.
Or they're shooting with
like a James Bond death and Nintendo 64.
Right.
Yeah.
Or they're shooting with paintball guns.
Nothing, again, this is just how my brain works. We're neurodivergents. Nothing in the show points to that. But that's where my brain goes. I'm like, did this camera have a family? And
Immediately. Immediately.
You know what I mean?
You start immediately making a storyline and backstory for this sentient camera that has blood flowing through its veins and just got shot. Yeah.
It has a central nervous system. It felt all of that. That's my tangent on that. But so they break in the bank, and then there's this one blind guy who everyone's trying to assist, and like they then get him out of the way of the robbers, right? They're like, come over here, you're safe over here.
Right.
Something suspicious about the blind guy right off the jump. And then the ranger gets there, and the bank robbers are escaping, and he shoots one dead, I think.
Yes, immediately. Like, one walks out, and the new ranger, the young buck who with the jewelry, just pops him.
Shoots him first.
And there was no intent yet of him
Right.
raising the paintball gun towards him.
With today's laws, I think that's illegal. And then the other one's like, oh shit, my homie's dead, and like just gives up and drops to the ground. And then this is where I get the disconnect. All these people were helping this blind guy when the guys came into the bank. Now that half of them are outside of the bank and they heard gunshots, they allow him to blindly walk out the bank door into the crossfire. Great distraction for me. I'm not going to get shot.
That'll be our sacrifice.
And blind guy feels his way out. And that's not at all concerning to our Texas Ranger. He's like, come over here. Follow my voice. The blind guy has enough time, obviously not a blind guy at this point, has enough time to pull out a gun and shoot our young marked for death Ranger.
Boom. And
He kills him.
that is like the momentum that the rest of the officers are so gun-ho about getting these people at the beginning. Because, they want to avenge their friend. But, like, that is not at all apparent.
Nope.
They just forget about that kid.
And Alex, and as soon as Walker's like mourning the death of his friend down the hallway stairs of the courthouse, it's over. And Alex is like, Walker, I need your help.
Right.
And immediately he's like, yeah, sure, what's up?
Yeah. Why not?
Apparently, the fucking circus is in town. There's a circus performer who needs help. All jokes aside, she was assaulted.
Yes.
Off by anybody. It was awful.
Yes.
Walker walks down these stairs, and Alex is like, I know your friend just died, but help me with this circus case. And he's like, yeah, of course. What's going on? She goes, this is a trapeze artist girl. And like, it's like her actor headshot. Like,
right.
And then it's like, this is what happened to her. Same clothes.
Same background.
Clothes, same background, just
same camera
with a black eye.
Yeah.
And Walker's like, yeah, of course I'll help this girl. She can stay on my ranch with her whole circus family.
When I first heard that,
I thought there was going to be a whole circus at Walker's house.
Me too. There was only 3 people.
Uncle Ray's like making them food. Oh, by the way, Uncle Ray. Uncle Ray is Walker's uncle, who is full Native American.
And Walker's half.
And Chuck Norris is actually half. So the bad guys that robbed the bank, like, either just beat up. It looks like they just beat up the 2 guys who surrendered before. They're like, you're not in this for the long haul. They beat them up by a river.
So those 2 guys that got beat up were the people that failed the
bank robbery.
Right. How'd they get away?
The blind guy killed the only ranger there.
Why was there yeah.
Blind guy. Now, was he Walker's partner? Do we know that? Because they're like, Walker, we need to get you a new partner.
Yes, he must have been.
So Walker's a terrible partner. They give it to...
I love this character.
Ranger Trevette is his name. And he's the hacker from Die Hard.
Do you remember how they introduced this character in this show?
He's swimming, right?
And all of the shots that they have are in the middle of your screen.
His dong's out and about. He's like drinking like raw juice. Like something normal today, but in the 90s, it's like, what is he, juice fruits?
What a hippie.
And then he's like, Walker, I already know your suspect. I tracked him on computers.
Yeah.
And Walker's like, I did the same thing. I didn't use any computers. Because it's like computers are the enemy or something.
Right. Of course they were. It was in 1989.
So the blind guy turns out to be like this weird jock.
Yes. He literally looks like Flash Thompson from
I was just about
from
to say
Spider-Man, where he looks like a 30-year-old. I mean, honestly, they're like the same age because everyone in that movie was 30 years old playing 15. Yeah, it's basically this, like, he wears his football Letterman jacket and he's like the ringleader of this bank robbery group.
They put an ad in the paper, I think, whatever 90s Craigslist is, and they put an ad out for a guy with explosives experience.
Yeah.
And this guy shows up and he's lying about his explosive experience, and like they figured out. But the way they interview him is they take a lamp and they like turn it on so you can't see their faces. And like that's their defense against like their identity.
It turns out that Trevette had ran into this guy before.
Oh, the guy they interviewed. Yeah.
And he's really messed with him.
Yeah, and because they were at the shooting range, and they're like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "I live here." And then Trevette's like, "Hey, man," and he runs. Immediately runs. Zoom. And Walker's like, "You better go get him." And then Walker just walks to his truck. Like,
right. As soon as he tackles and does all the work, Walker pulls up and is like, "Yeah, good teamwork."
And then they're trying to set up to find these guys. And they do like a stakeout with Trevette as the bait or something. Mm-hmm. And Walker's like, "What did you do to that guy to make him run from you, Jimmy Trevette?" And he's like, "You know me, Walker. They literally just met yesterday."
Right.
And he's like, "Well, I'm trying," which is actually a good line because why would he know him?
Right.
And he's like, "Well, he got off scot-free from a case on a technicality. And, he fell asleep in his apartment one night, and like there was randomly, a bunch of snakes in his apartment, and his power got cut out, and his doors were locked, and apparently he blames me."
Which is not something I expected from Trevette.
No, it's a very Walker move though, because Walker will go across the border and take people back breaking international laws. Right. Trevette will just put snakes in your apartment and try to. He's like, "Did you do it?"
That's when he asks, like, "Will you know me, Walker?" Well. Not really. His backstory was hilarious, dude.
Yeah, it was elaborate. Really elaborate.
Well, the funny part is he was like, Walker, I grew up watching this TV show with my parents, and it was about this lone Walker Ranger in Texas. He describes
the show we're watching?
The exact show that we're watching. And he's like, "I always looked up to him. And I always vowed to myself that I would make a difference like he did." And I'm like, dude, you just described, like, Chuck Norris is just on an ego fucking flight right now. He's like, "Yeah, that's me. That's the title of the show."
These are the two plot lines going on right now, or three. Walker and his new partner, right? The jock bully group.
Yep.
And then the poor trapeze artist family in Walker's
that are just there.
Yeah, they're just waiting. Okay, so they're at Walker's house, and they're like, she doesn't want to go. She just wants to leave town. She doesn't want to press charges. She just wants it to be over with. And Walker's like, "That can't happen." So Walker goes out to like his deck where she's like by herself looking at the stars.
Yes,
and he tells us his terrible origin story.
Yeah,
about his mom dying. And his dad also dying. Yeah,
both of them.
His dad. So his dad has a temper and like picks a fight with somebody at a fair.
I think it was a fair. Again, with the writing, I'm like, come on, anything else?
All cyclical.
Yeah.
And he's like, "My dad picked a fight with him, and they stabbed my dad, and then they killed my mom." So so what we're talking about before, he is Bruce Wayne.
Yes.
He had Bruce Wayne's origin story.
The same exact one. And
same thing. Parents dead, left there.
They were leaving a place of entertainment.
Yep, exactly. And yeah, so he tells her that terrible backstory, and she's like, "Okay, if you can do it, I can do it." So they come back to like silence Walker and like everyone at that farm. Yeah, they're clearly outnumbered, but it doesn't matter. Walker beats them all up and like breaks all of their arms.
You're talking about when the horse drags the guy and stuff?
Yeah. Uncle Ray. Uncle Ray goes and lassos the guy who runs away and drags him back